Yeah, I know. If I like, you know how sometimes in your brain, like the slow, it just like switches for
Yeah.
some
Right.
reason.
The reason I remember the La La Land music so well is because when I had to log into the computers at the movie theater, it took me 7 button presses to enter my numbers and hit enter. I think it was
Hmm.
like 3 numbers enter, 2 numbers enter. So after I saw La La Land and I had that song stuck in my head all the time, every time I would log into a computer at concession stand, it would go do 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 do.
Yeah, that works.
That was how. That's why
Just
I
remember,
remember that
so
so
in
well.
my, are we streaming right now?
Yeah, we are live. I decided to
So
just start
in
it.
my high school film class, we had to take that opening song from La La Land and make our own musical. And I'm pretty sure it was probably the worst, cringiest thing I've ever made. But because I made that, I had to listen to the that song just like 2,000 times while making that and filming that and editing that. So I think it's just kind of permanently ingrained into my mind somewhere.
Yeah, here's the thing about
I
that.
think
Good
that's
old
the best
song.
song.
It's a
That's the
pretty
best
good
song in the whole
song.
movie.
Well,
I
I mean,
like
the
the
best
bum
song
bum
is the
bum
fucking
bum.
montage at the end. I mean, it's not like a song; it's like just a piece of
Yeah,
music.
that's
But
the best sequence. The
what
best
about
sequence.
when he plays the keyboard all hot with John Legend?
Yeah, the John
He
Legend song.
mansplains
That's
jazz.
I think we should do La La Land, but I think that's the funniest thing
Maybe.
about La La Land is that they're like, "Oh my God, jazz is dying," and then they're like, "Here's this really awesome jazz song that we wrote. It's original and it's the best song in the movie." Sorry,
Sorry.
That's how
the
it's
art of
good.
jazz is dead.
So hey, by the way, we've got 2 different people in the chat right now that I've never seen before, which I'm very
Yeah,
happy to
hello.
see. Thanks, Headquarter Productions and Kevin the Little Monster.
See, we didn't say what's up gamers, which is the only thing
Yeah,
that we do consistently in this
usually
podcast.
we
is
say
we
what's
say
up
the
gamers
words
when we
what's up
start.
gamers.
I just wanted to, like we were just already having a freewheeling conversation.
talking about
and
what- we're
decided
just,
to just like
it's
let
like
you in on it.
podcasting is like jazz. You
It
just
is.
do whatever moves you, you know?
It's all about the movie criticisms you don't say.
Yeah,
That's
it's
kind of
all
true,
about
actually.
gotta
Can I
read
air
between the
another
lines.
problem? Another
Does
problem I've
Jackson
had
like
with
La La Land, or does he just have trauma associated with it? We'll never know.
Honestly, a really good question. Um,
Okay,
Okay, hold
may I
on.
air
Before we
another
get some
problem?
really good goofs in here, I need to close my door real quick. Hold on.
Oh.
secrets.
Okay. Here's another thing that happens in my brain where songs get mixed up. So I run a youth group,
Mm-hmm.
and every time we play a game, I try to sing the Family Feud theme song, but it always comes out as the Rocky theme song.
I can never think of the Family
Without
Feud
fail.
theme song. I remember, but then I don't know like what the melody is after that.
What is
Well,
that from?
'cause-
What are we talking about?
The Family Feud theme
So
song.
Oh.
yeah, I remember that when they get. See, there you go. See, I'll try and think of it, and then I'll go ba-da-ba.
I was gonna say to me it sounds like.
Cena.
I know that's John Cena.
That's the lad. That's the guy.
I know.
Hi, Cade.
What if we just had because Jackson's been trying to write new music for our opening of the actual podcast.
Yeah, I'm
if
getting
you
there.
listen to it on streaming devices, I think we should just use the song from La La Land and just pretend like you wrote it and see how that goes.
Yeah.
What up, Patrick and Paul?
See how Justin Hurwitz feels about that.
I think he'll like it. I think he'll get it.
I'll be like, this is a good bit.
This is a good bit. I like this.
Or you could just have me try and think of a song, and I'll misremember it, and it'll be probably brand new music.
Be different enough.
So, by the way, before we start, I don't know. I know we're streaming, and I hate to talk shop while we're streaming, but I'm trying to think of a good segment that I can sort of gamify for you guys. Because trivia time doesn't lend itself well to that, right?
No, trivia time is very one-sided.
Yeah, and like I looked in again, and I have some trivia time for this movie that I think is really good.
Hell yeah.
So here's a pitch. Do you think this would be funny? I'm going to give you a scene from the movie, and you have to guess what CinemaSins criticized about it in their video on the movie.
Oh, that's great, actually.
Okay. All right. I'll try that next time.
Any fucking chance to dunk on CinemaSins, I will take it.
Yeah, okay, I think that's our bit now. I'll do that for the next one.
Because I don't even remember what they said about how the Grinch stole Christmas. I think it was a lot of like, why does everybody look so weird? What's up with that?
How come the Grinch is a
Waka
green guy when
waka.
everyone else looks normal?
Are you babies don't come from storks? What are they doing?
They don't come from storks. They come from the sky, Adeline.
They
Ding.
come from
That was a thing.
pumpercillas.
Mm-hmm.
Kate, I'd love to know how many points they got from CinemaSins and or Cinema Wins.
Oh yeah, that's a good bit too. Like,
oh wait, you're pitching that as a bit idea to me. I thought you were gonna tell me. I thought it was a funny number you were gonna say, but now I understand.
no, they're asking.
I thought you were like, Jackson, you'll never guess how many points it got from CinemaSins/Wins, and I was like,
you're not gonna believe this. Let me. Do they have a website where they're just like, hey, we did it?
No, I think
Here's
they
the
understand
score.
at least enough that the points are arbitrary. They don't have like a database.
No, they
of
totally
scores.
understand that what they're doing is bullshit, but
Yeah.
they just continue to do it. You know, they're self-aware. They just don't give a
Views and
shit.
money. I would hate on things I love for views and money.
I did, but I wouldn't put my actual criticisms along with the dunking on something for comedy. You know,
can talk CinemaSins for hours.
We have.
And
I think we
have-
That's
probably
true.
actually have.
Yeah, I have a big ol' honkin' take on specifically why CinemaSins is so horrible, but I'll spare you guys for now.
And I think dump it, bro. I think it's relevant.
Okay, look,
Yeah, don't hold yourself back.
there's a certain kind of YouTube criticism that is completely built around a grumpy, angry persona, right?
It's the furry guy who like points at something and then crosses his arm and complains about forced diversity. We've all seen the thumbnail.
Well, that's the new version. What I'm thinking of is like the old guard of like CinemaSins and Angry Video Game Nerd and like Nostalgia Critic, like that kind
Yeah,
of.
Nostalgia Critic literally is the face of that.
Yeah. And you know, originally they're doing a bit. They're like, "Oh, my bit is I'm this like stodgy, angry guy who's super annoying about movies or whatever." You're like, "That's fine." And they make up bullshit criticisms for a joke as an ironic, you know, bit that they're doing. Totally cool. Don't have a problem with that as long as people understand what you're doing and it's clear enough that it's a bit. That is totally fine.
Yeah.
Do that away if you would like to. But
Do that away, if you will.
but then if they get enough, obviously these people are passionate about what they're talking about, and they get enough viewership that suddenly they have this platform, and all of a sudden they're like, well, wait, I do want to say my real feelings about movies though sometimes. So then they just start peppering in real movie criticism alongside absurd dumbass bits with no differentiation between the two, and
like
the
meme of the man putting cheddar on the pizza.
Yeah,
it's
and
just...
like the lines start to blur so fast, and all of a sudden people think that CinemaSins making a ding every time somebody says the name of a movie in a movie is like a real form of film criticism, and it's not.
Yeah. And it's their own
Which
fault.
it is. That's why this movie's so bad.
Did you guys know that I wrote...
Because they say the Grinch so many times. Like, what the fuck?
That's like it's the main character's name or something. Man.
I wrote a fucking 5-page paper from my film theory class last quarter about when they say the names of movies in movies.
Is it good?
I'm pretty...
What grade did you get on it?
I was pretty proud of it. That was from my teacher named Todd, and he basically just gives you full credit for everything.
Cool. Thanks, Todd.
You love Todd.
Yeah, Todd's
God,
cool.
I love teachers like Todd. I just remember...
What's like the best use of saying the name of a movie?
Well, I posited that there are two different kinds, right? There are times when a movie is named after a line that exists within the script, and there are times when the movie is stating the predetermined title of the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the winking, and then like the... just
Iron Man, if you will.
Right. So when Will Smith says, "What are we, some kind of Suicide Squad?" You're like, I get that. I understand that's the name of the movie. That's why you said that. But when somebody
Like
says,
catching fire.
or when Atticus
Maybe, I
Finch
don't know.
says it's a sin to kill a mockingbird, you're like, oh, that's the title of the
That's what
movie.
it's about.
It doesn't feel like a title drop, but it does have an effect on you as a viewer because you like understand that that's something important. Like they titled the movie after that. It makes you, it sort of like just telegraphs to the viewer that you're like, there's like the filmmakers thought this line was important enough that they titled the movie after it. So it does have
Like
an
this
effect
is
on
like
you either
what
way.
this is about, bro.
And then I went through the Cars script and I counted how many times they said the word cars just to illustrate like, and not every title drop is a title drop, right? You say the word cars a bunch of times in Cars, but it doesn't count. But sometimes if you're clever, you can make a title drop out of something that seems impossible to do. And I called out Us, Jordan Peele's Us, when there's that moment where like the clones come in the house and they're like, holy shit, what's going on? And then Lupita Nyong'o goes, they're us. You're like, fuck.
No.
Boom.
The sun says that.
Well, whatever. Whoever says they're us. You're
Yeah.
There it is. Like, that's a title drop. That's like blammo. They're
it's
us.
I just like to imagine. I know this doesn't happen in Suicide Squad, but I like to imagine Will Smith goes, "What are we, some kind of Suicide Squad?" And then just everybody turns and looks in the camera for like 5 whole seconds. In my dream of dreams, that's what actually happens. No, just like blankly, like that kind of like blank, like open mouth smile, like, hey.
Oh no.
How many more times do you think I would have to watch Suicide Squad before I eventually convinced myself it was good?
I think just attach some trauma to it, bro, and I think that'll do it.
Because that seems like the kind of thing that would happen to me, right?
If you watch Suicide Squad enough times, it'll be good.
Like, couldn't you just see me sometime in the future on Twitter being like, actually, I've decided that Suicide Squad's really good?
Jackson, that's literally what we fucking did with Batman versus Superman.
But Batman
we attached trauma to Batman versus Superman, and now we think it's good.
It is good. Batman versus Superman's so good.
Yeah.
We did this to ourselves, Jackson.
I managed to. I'm perhaps maybe the only human male on planet Earth who successfully convinced his girlfriend that Batman v Superman is good.
Well, it's because I need to tell you this, Jackson. It's because we approve Batman versus Superman being good from a different angle that everybody else on the planet does when they say that Batman versus Superman is good. We say Batman versus Superman is good because it goes apeshit and doesn't care what it's doing in order to like do what it wants to do, and that's why we think it's good. But then you have the neckbeards who are like, no, it's good for no reason. I'm like, why do you think that part's good? That part's weird.
Snyder Cut is so exciting to me. I'm so excited about the Snyder Cut. Cade, it is. Cade, it is good. Batman v Superman is so good. I love Batman v Superman.
It's really good.
I know there are a handful of new people in the chat right now who don't know me that well. And I know me saying Batman v Superman, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice is good is a big red flag for a lot of people, as it should be. But I don't give a fuck, because that movie is good as hell, and I don't care what anybody says.
My favorite part of Batman v Superman is when, I think I said this literally last episode, but when little baby Bruce Wayne runs away from the funeral and falls down a mine shaft and survives A and B, then gets lifted up by a million bats into the heavens, and then we just move on to the next thing. And then my second favorite thing is the horse metaphor that we still don't understand.
So Adeline and I are planning on recording audio commentaries for the 3 Zack Snyder Superman movies. I feel like it's the only format in which we can succinctly and precisely explain exactly why we like them so much. And
they just like, I have one of my biggest criticisms for a lot of movies. It's like a point I keep bringing up. It's like, if you just go apeshit on something, I'll usually like it. Like, even if like, I just like it when people like have a vision and it's weird and they're just like, all right, we're just gonna go all in and we're just gonna fucking do it. And that's why I like Batman v Superman, because they're just like, fuck, let's go. We're gonna do it. We're gonna be as dramatic and as weird and as like dream sequency and like we're just gonna fucking do it. It's like, okay, cool. Go off, Zach.
There's a fucking 4-minute dream ballet in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Because they're just fucking doing whatever the hell they want, and it's great.
It's so good. And people talk about it like it's a regular, boring, bad superhero movie, and that's so insane to me.
It's not boring. They do what the fuck goes on in that movie.
Superman does a Benghazi in that movie. Okay. Should we start the podcast? How do you guys feel?
Yeah, probably.
I'm ready to talk about
Kevin came here only to talk about the Grinch, and we haven't talked about the Grinch yet.
It's okay, Kevin left, so.
That's fair. He's coming back, though, so we have to be talking about the Grinch at some point.
I'm gonna come back in 20 minutes, and if you guys aren't talking about the Grinch, I'm gonna be pissed.
That's just what my dad said right before he left. I'm just kidding.
Fucking talk about the Grinch. There's gonna be hell to pay.
Okay, let's talk about the Grinch.
Okay. So give me just a second here. Let me make sure I got all my ducks in a row.
Oh, what are you doing with those ducks?
Don't ask me questions that you don't want to know the answer to, Adeline.
My favorite moment in Power Rangers is when Will Smith walks out of the Krispy Kreme with a Krispy Kreme TM donut and goes, "What are we, the Power Rangers?
What are we, some kind of Power Rangers?"
And then he takes a bite out of one of their cookie badges.
Their cookie badges? What?
Remember, we had a whole conversation about how their Power Ranger badges look like the raspberry cookies.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, then he takes a bite out of it and he goes, blueberry. And it's very funny.
Okay, are we all ready to start recording?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Grinch
eats
pie
every
single
minute
because
Ron
Howard
really
digs
pie.
Hell yeah. That's true, actually.
Actually.
That one was a documentary.
Yeah, that was actually part of trivia time. And we just kind of
we just spoiled it.
What if there was a fucking ghost story sequence in Ron Howard's The Grinch where he sits on the floor and eats pie in an uninterrupted shot for like 8 minutes?
And then throws it up. Yeah.
Have you guys seen Ghost Story? That movie's a trip.
I love Ghost Story.
No, I haven't. I have heard about people talking about how she just sits down and eats a whole pie, though. I've heard a lot of discourse about that.
Straight up 5 minutes, and then like, ooh, there's a ghost in the background. That's grief. Just eating a pie on the floor.
No, the ghost was actually the pie the whole time. That's what they don't tell you.
I remember
that's the M. Night Shyamalan twist.
That movie came out when I was working at the movie theater in Spokane, and the association I will forever have with it is just that whoever was in charge programmed Ghost Story and Dunkirk to be playing in next door theaters, which are the quietest and loudest movies respectively in history. Like,
where people are just exploding and screaming the whole time.
So we had a lot of people actually get mad at us and ask for their money back, so we had to change it.
Cool.
Yeah,
so Jackson, do you have a funny intro for Ron Howard's The Grinch?
Yeah, let's see. You're a podcast, Mr. Grinch. You've got a bad podcast. You probably smoke some weed on it and say things about women, Mr. Grinch.
Your media analysis
39.5-foot headphones.
Okay, yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
39.5-foot headphones seems like a really outdated source of listening to something.
Maybe. I don't know.
With 39.5-foot AirPods.
They're stilts.
Because we
stilts.
Anyway, my name is Jackson McMurray.
My name is Keisha Rhodes. I'm also McMurray.
This is No Nerds Allowed.
Merry Christmas. Happy
Merry-
Jingle
holidays.
those bells.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Chrysler. I've seen that Vine.
Merry
I'm
Christmas.
hip.
Adeline, do you
That
want
one-
to do you want to talk to Cade?
Yeah, real quick. Hey, Cade. Hey, Cade. I need you to stop being an enabler for me.
I can count on Cade to say the wackest shit in the chat without fail every time we stream.
Just like, hey, Adeline, you remember that weird ass thing from Tumblr? And I'm like, yeah, I
Wait,
do.
No, I don't know about this.
Oh, you don't know about this?
So
Oh,
Kate is positing that Tony the Tiger and the Grinch used to be in a relationship, but now they're
there's fan
exes.
art. Hold on.
Why did that happen? Somebody needs to tell me the story.
Yeah,
I don't know
what?
it.
Okay, well,
I
I
just
found
don't
an
even
entire
see- they don't
image
have
of the entire
chemistry.
Tumblr thread, so I'm just...
Okay.
Give me a moment.
We can do a dramatic
Hold
reading.
on. Yeah, here we
Does
go.
the Grinch play soccer or something? Is that
Yeah,
why he
man,
was
that's
in Tony the
the
Tiger?
deleted scene.
No, man, I'm so scared to look
There we
at
go.
this.
It's in the Discord now.
Okay,
We're gonna
let's see.
take a minute
fuck.
to deal with this, and then...
I can't even zoom in on it, you freakazoid.
You gotta
can't
open
zoom on it?
original,
You can't zoom in
bro.
on your phone? What's wrong with you?
Hold on. I will follow the
Oh, jeez.
link to it.
Every time I listen to You're Immune, Mr. Grinch, I can't help but sit there and think, what did the Grinch do to hurt you? Because dude just stands there for 2 minutes and 58 seconds and drags the Grinch into the dirt. Because the Grinch is a Grinch. He's a little Scrooge who doesn't like Christmas. No, that's
okay.
why.
Okay, so I guess I kind of get that. He stole Christmas, Kayla. Stop with your not all Grinches propaganda. You know, what if someone told me I was a 3-decker sauerkraut and toadstool sandwich with arsenic sauce? I'd probably be bitter enough to steal Christmas too. Interestingly, though The Grinch Who Stole Christmas is narrated by Boris Karloff, the big musical number is sang by the late Thurl Ravenscroft, an American voice actor better known as the voice of Tony the Tiger. Okay, so we're there. We've made it.
We've made it. Oh, we've got it. We're there. Hey!
So, okay, I don't need to dig any deeper into this. I'm satisfied.
So the headcanon is that it's Tony the Tiger singing "You're a Bad One, Mr. Grinch"
Right.
because they broke up, and then fan fiction and fan art ensues because it's Tumblr, and they fucking shipped internet browsers, so they have no shame.
Why is it that you always, whenever there's a ship we're trying to find content for, we can never find it, but it's always the stuff we didn't ask for that always...
I know. God, there's no fun. Like, it's the obvious one. I'm still upset that there's no fan art for the fucking the conductor and the hobo from the Polar Express. Like, that just seems like, because like everybody watches that like once a year. Are you telling me no 14-year-old in 2014 saw that and then just glommed onto it and started writing fan fiction and fan art? Are you telling me? Are you telling me that?
The horny tweens of this nation need to really get it together.
Yeah, because they fucking watched the Lorax and they were like, hell yeah, that guy's sexy as F. What if I made 1,000,000 alternate universes where they made out? They did that, and they won't go the extra step, one more step, and that's, hey, maybe the conductor for the Polar Express and the hobo have like a weird kind of like romantic past. That's like definitely subplot in the movie already. Like, come on.
I guess they just put all their attention on the Lorax.
They really did. They really fucking did, man.
We didn't have enough overflow energy.
God, now I'm just thinking about Sans Undertale and all the fucking AUs for that, and they're... Kate is an enabler for me.
Okay, so we're talking Ron Howard Grinch.
Wait, hold on, real fast.
Okay,
Kate
sure.
brought up another thing.
Okay.
So, there's like this like weird, it keeps happening time and time and again, or it's like the longevity of a Tumblr post, where someone will like say a funny idea, and then someone will make fan art of it, and then someone will write fan fiction of it, and then someone will start a scam where they start a GoFundMe in order to actually make that thing happen, and then it never happens, and all those people get scammed out of their money. This has happened like 3 times.
Wait,
because they're saying that somebody wanted to actually make something with Tony the Tiger and Grinch, and then like started started a GoFundMe for it and then didn't do anything. And there was that huge one where it was a picture of a bear and a cop like standing next to each other, and people made all this fan art out of it and like a comic out of
Oh, that's
it. And then
right.
they
I
were like,
remember
"Oh,
that.
we're gonna make a real TV show out of this," and then just took people's money and ran. Like, it's just, why does it keep
I
happening?
don't
Why is
know.
this a pattern?
It's because I don't know. If you can just get on Tumblr and be like, "Hey, what's up, fellow teens?" and just have a quirky enough idea, people will give you fucking money. And
Yeah,
they
that's
shouldn't.
fair.
They
That's
should
fair.
stop doing that.
Or we should just hop on that.
Yeah,
Get it.
you're right.
Yeah,
We should
fuck,
just
you're
actually
right.
do it.
Plenty of
Hey,
good
hello,
ideas.
teens, give us your money.
So we start a GoFundMe to produce a Polar Express spinoff that's a rom-com about the hobo and
Yeah.
the conductor. And
Yeah,
we
it's a
say
prequel.
that we've gotten an email from Tom Hanks. It's not true,
Yeah.
and we're gonna set our goal for $10,000 to produce a pilot, and then we'll just move to Florida, right? Like what?
Yeah,
that's
like,
that
yeah, and then
for
we just
us.
moved to Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you throw your
That'd be
iPhone and your
fun.
computer into an alligator, and then you get a different one.
Yeah, and then just smooth sailing from there. And then we delete this podcast episode just to be safe.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
the whole
scour the
podcast, maybe
internet.
this is like, once we make enough money, like, we don't have to be podcasters anymore, because, you know. Because
We're in it for the
obviously,
money.
we're only into podcasting for the money.
Yeah, this is
obviously.
the only way I can sustain myself. If I had any other source of income, I would quit this podcast so fucking fast. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, podcast is like the new mining.
It's
Like, I don't want to be a miner.
Yeah.
You get
I got the
black
black
lung
lung from
sometimes, too.
podcasting.
Yeah.
We both have
Yeah,
the
or,
same
like,
mining
fishing.
pole.
Yeah, I got the black lung, paw.
We should do Zoolander 2 eventually.
We should just do Zoolander. Why Zoolander 2?
Because it's just a fond memory of mine when Adeline and I, on one of the first times we just were old enough for me to just drive you to the movie theater, we could go see a movie as friends, and it was opening day of Deadpool, and we were like, actually, we're gonna go see Zoolander 2 instead. That's gonna be the horse that we're gonna bet on in this race, is Zoolander 2. And it was a bad choice, but it was one that I will treasure forever.
Isn't the movie just like 2 hours of Zoolander fat shaming his son?
I don't
Yeah,
even
wasn't
remember
with
him
Ben
having a
Stiller
son.
and
Yeah, he's got like a son who's like ugly because he's kind of chubby, and that's just like the whole movie, and then like the world ends or something. I don't know. But there is Benedict Cumberbatch, is that like model with the white wig who looks exactly like that makeup artist that got canceled,
Oh,
Jeffree
like
Star.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
that
Anyway.
The one joke from Zoolander 2 that I think is really funny that I still think about is Kyle Mooney playing this like millennial fashion designer who just goes up to Ben Stiller and it's just like, "Oh, your look, it fucking sucks. I love it. It's so shitty. It's so great." And they're like, "Excuse me?" And they're like, "Yeah, no, seriously, it's one of the best things I've seen all year. It's so fucking terrible." And you're like, "What? I don't know." I just think it's really funny.
Yeah, because it's literally you, Jackson.
Yeah, it's just a very astute observation. I felt seen by Kyle Mooney.
I felt, there's me. I feel representation matters.
So, The Grinch, or excuse me, it's not called The Grinch. It's called
How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
There's a lot going on in the chat, and we're choosing not to engage with it.
Yep.
How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So here's how this movie came to be.
Yes. Ron Howard sat down and he was like, what if there was a place where all of my fetishes could be in the same 2-hour span of film?
I don't even know what you're referring to, but I'm gonna keep going with the real story.
Are you talking what about that scene where everybody's fucking force feeding him fudge, Jackson? He'll look me in the eyes and say that doesn't have an uncomfortably horrible amount of horny energy to it.
It does not. What are you talking
about?
It absolutely does. This movie is horrifying.
Do you think Matilda is pandering to Danny DeVito's fetishes?
No, because nobody gets force-fed fudge in that movie.
Yes, they do. That kid has to eat cake till he dies.
He has a whole giant cake.
Are they? Yes, but he's eating it. Nobody's holding it down and forcing fudge into his mouth and then jiggling him around and then sitting him down and putting more fudge into his mouth.
The head mistress literally holds an entire assembly and makes the whole school watch.
Is he dressed up in a
Force-feeding.
furry green costume, and has he been incredibly weird and horny the entire time?
Not the same thing. That's
Yes,
also,
it's not
how
the
would you do
same
the
thing.
Grinch?
I am not
That's-
trying to say
no,
that
no.
Matilda is
Yes.
horny. I'm trying to say how the Grinch Stole
This isn't a
Christmas is
horny
very
movie.
horny.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Okay, that scene starts off with the Grinch face planting into a woman's boobs. Are you gonna tell me? Are you gonna look me in the eye and tell me?
You have got a tremendous amount of Keisha, can you agree with me that we feel relatively little horny energy in this movie?
Yeah, if we're gonna rate this,
This is not a hot take. This is a cold take.
there isn't horny energy in this movie. You think there's horny energy in a movie where there's a 6-year-old girl singing a song about like her lost faith in Christmas? Ernest,
not in that scene. That scene where the Grinch is. There's all the jokes of him wandering naked. And then, yeah, thank you, Kate. It is a raunchy movie because it's fucking Jim Carrey. Of course it is. He makes the fucking mayor kiss his dog's asshole, and then he face plants into a woman's boobs, and then
Why
they
do you
force
think
feed him
that's...
punch.
There's a difference between raunchy comedy and genuine horniness, Adeline. We make jokes about dicks and butts all the time. We're not horny when we do that.
I'm not saying... Oh my god. Yes, thank you, Ian. God, it's not... God, I don't even know how to explain it to you because I thought this was just a normal human perception of like you go on the internet. Have you ever seen an image and like you just have that hypersensitivity of like, oh, this is actually porn? Like I feel like that's what this whole movie is.
I will
God,
concede.
I'm sorry that's how you watch this movie.
I will concede that Martha Mayhew is a thing. And I will also concede that the two girls when they're like all the teens climbing the mountain at the beginning have big porn energy for reasons I can't quite put my finger on.
Yes.
But other than that, it's just a movie about Jim Carrey being a doofus, a goofball.
I'm not saying it's the entirety of the movie, and I'm not saying it's every single scene. I'm saying there are a lot of very specific scenes where like it just comes out of nowhere. Like those girls, like Martha Mayhew, like them force-feeding him that fudge is super weird. Yes, that's Cade just brought up the perfect example of that.
Right.
Like it just all has like...
I don't think this movie is a deep imbofication.
No, but there are definitely scenes that like just have that energy of like, oh, there's something weird going on here. And like it's not explicit in any way, but like you know.
So Dr. Seuss died, right?
Yeah.
And then
Rest in peace.
He was always very adamant about not wanting to make movies about his work outside of like the odd Christmas special or whatever, like television special. And as soon as he died, his wife was pretty eager to sell off the rights to as many movies as she could.
Yep. Uh-huh.
And she wrote a letter to... What studio is this? Is it Paramount?
It's Universal.
Universal.
Yeah.
She wrote a letter to Universal Studios, unsolicited, basically saying, you can have the Grinch on these conditions. And here's a quote from that letter. It states that any actor submitted for the Grinch must be of comparable stature to Jack Nicholson, Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, or Dustin Hoffman. Additionally, I will not consider a director or writer who has not earned at least $1 million on a previous picture.
Oh my goodness.
So
I really wish that this movie was How the Grinch Stole Christmas starring Jack Nicholson. So
I know,
how
God.
horrible would that be?
What
if it was Dustin Hoffman, though?
Yeah.
What if it was year 2000 Dustin Hoffman?
Just Rain Manning. God.
It'd be so horrible.
I feel like, okay, well, here's the thing. It's because Jack Nicholson fucking hated working on Batman. There's no way he's gonna enjoy working on How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
I mean,
there's no way.
He didn't hate working on Batman. He just didn't take it seriously.
I guess, but he's gonna take How the Grinch Stole Christmas seriously?
Well, no, but you could do
Yeah,
it
that's
still.
what I'm saying. It's because, like, on paper, that's the best thing in the world. Jack Nicholson is the Grinch. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Of
Right.
course. But, like,
Which
the
is not to
reality, I
say-
feel like he would just kind of phone it in.
Right. Which is to say that I don't think any of these actors outside of Jim Carrey were considered.
No, probably
that's
not.
just
Except by Dr. Seuss's wife.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, they started trying to get directors together, and we all know ultimately Ron Howard signs on, which is a fucking weird choice, considering his previous work was like a psychological thriller about a guy with schizophrenia and a hard sci-fi movie about not even sci-fi, a like science movie about Apollo 13 where people do a bunch of math on screen.
Yeah.
And they were like, what if you directed Jim Carrey in The Grinch? And he did it, and that was what happened. But
and then he did that.
Apparently, Universal was trying to get Tom Shadyac, who is the guy who directed like Ace Ventura and a bunch of other like goofy comedies since then. Worked with Jim Carrey before, totally makes sense. Farrelly Brothers, directors of Dumb and Dumber, same thing. Comedy guys, worked with Jim Carrey before famously. John Hughes was trying to get this movie. And Gary Ross. Like, all of these guys make total sense for this kind of movie.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they went with Ron Howard for reasons I'm not 100% certain about.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think here's why I figured it out.
Okay.
Because Ron Howard directed and produced the film Far and Away, in which Tom Cruise gives a very comedic performance, a bad Irish accent.
Right.
He throws Nicole Kidman into a bathtub, and while not wearing a hat, asks her if he likes his hat or if she likes his hat.
Right.
Over and over again. Punches a horse in the face, dies and comes back to life. It's all the same beats as the Grinch, if you think about it.
There was at one point where one of the teachers at our high school made one of their classes watch Far and Away for some reason, but I wasn't in that class or didn't have that teacher. And there was like a week where suddenly the entire school was doing bits about Far and Away, it seemed. And I totally didn't understand. I still haven't seen it. And I still feel left out about it, to be frank.
The same thing happened when all of the English classes read Things Fall Apart, and then suddenly everyone was making jokes about Things Fall Apart, which is definitely a different energy, but was also very funny at the time.
Right. Because, yeah, Keisha, you can attest to this. There was like a week where suddenly our entire school was going around saying, but do you like my hat?
Tell me you like my hat, Shannon.
Tell me you like my hat. Yes. And I was like, what is this? I don't get this. Explain this to
Jackson,
me.
I very much participated in that because the teacher was the one and only Dave Hughes.
Oh, fuck.
Of course it was.
I'm so sorry, podcast audience, but Dave Hughes is a teacher at Lewis and Clark High School who is famously very bad at teaching history and only is really there so that he can participate in coaching football. And I'm obsessed with Dave Hughes.
We haven't shouted out Dave Hughes on this podcast before.
Oh my god, shout out to Dave Hughes. I'm spiraling.
Okay. So they get Ron Howard, and apparently the first like week and a half of shooting on this movie, Jim Carrey just went apeshit in a bad way because he fucking hated the makeup so much. And there were, like, apparently 2 whole weeks of people trying to, like, manage Jim Carrey and corral him on set and stop him from literally just destroying trailers he was in because he was so mad. Until eventually, at least according to Wikipedia, which did have a citation on it that I didn't click through, my bad, but... according to Wikipedia, what made Jim Carrey finally calm down was he reached out to a connection he had with the CIA, and he had somebody come and teach him torture resistance techniques.
Yeah, because it took like
Yeah.
10 hours for him to get into the makeup, is what I heard.
The
Like
number
a
I keep
really
seeing,
long time.
the number I keep seeing is that every day it took him 3 hours to get into it and then 1 hour to get out of it. And he just
Yeah.
I
fucking
heard it's
couldn't
way
handle
longer
that.
than that.
Because that just sounds like the fucking worst thing in the world. Like, taking a long time to, like, get into makeup or get into a costume, like, sucks, don't get me wrong. But
Right.
the idea that, like, you're acting, you're doing all this stuff, and, like, you're at the end of the day, you're fucking hot and sweaty and exhausted and you just want to die. And they're like, all right, 3 hours, let's get you out of it now.
Right,
Like, that
yeah.
just sounds like the worst thing in the world.
And to be fair, in the opposite direction, though, Jim Carrey is, by all accounts, a crazy person.
Yeah.
And is not pleasant to work with ever, basically.
Yeah.
Because the dude was paid $20 million to star in a movie at age, like, 23. And it's like, it is impossible to be a normal human being after that, I feel like.
Absolutely.
Just to have the entire world be like, yeah, he's great, we think you're really funny, and we're gonna pay you millions of dollars to just do you, Jim. Like, that would fuck you up so bad, I feel like.
He just, like, is one of those human beings that's just set up to fail in terms of being a human being, you know? Like...
And he has these... I read this interview today while I was, like, doing, like, background Grinch research, talking about The Truman Show. And the director of that movie... I can't remember his name. Regardless, he says, like, you know... Jim likes to do, like, more dramatic movies, right? He likes the way people respond to them, and he likes, you know, doing something different and shaking things up. But the reality is that you have to fucking tire him out in order to get him to act serious. Like, Jim Carrey gets on set and he's like, ooh, blah, 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 for like 8 takes. And then once he gets tired, like, you have to tire him out like a little kid. And then after that, you're like, okay, so now start rolling.
How did
totally make sense?
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind then?
I know.
He's straight up a clam in that movie.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think that speaks to... God, I can't remember the name of the director of that movie either. God damn it.
There's too many people in the world.
But it also speaks to the fact that, like, Jim Carrey in his own right has sort of become, like, a respected actor in a lot of ways. Like, a respected dramatic actor based on his sort of limited work in the field, but, like, there is something to be said about the fact that he has not worked with basically any high-profile auteur directors, you know?
Yeah, because I don't think they could do it.
Yeah,
I don't think
exactly.
they could handle it.
He gives his best performances when he's working with, like, a young, scrappy director who has something to prove, and will put up with him.
So willing to put up with Jim Carrey in order to make a movie.
And then, like, you know, but if you were to pitch, like, oh, hey, Steven Spielberg, you want to work with Jimbo? He'd be like, no, actually, I think life's too short for me to do that. And so he doesn't. But yeah, it's just, he's such a weird guy.
Yeah, he was on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee with, I almost said Steven Seinfeld. That's not his name.
Don't say his name, Keisha. What's his name?
Why can't I fucking remember Seinfeld's first name?
It's such a normal name. It's one of the...
It is. That's what I'm, like, literally, like, cycling through every white guy name in my head. David? No.
I'll give you a hint. It's the same
David
name as one
Seinfeld.
of our grandparents.
Dallas?
Yes! You got it!
What? What are you talking about?
It's Jerry Seinfeld, Adeline.
Jerry! That's what it is. Thank you.
Jerry,
Thank you.
No, stop it. Headquarter Productions.
God, too late.
I hate my brain sometimes. Anyway, he was on Comedian's Coffee Car with Jerry Seinfeld.
Right.
And he just, like, you have in your brain, you're like, oh, this is what Jim Carrey is like. And it's just like, that was just, like, exactly what Jim Carrey was like. He's, like, wearing the weirdest clothes in the world. They, like, go to a cafe, and he, like, climbs through a window and over a wall in order to get into the cafe.
Right.
And they go to his house, and it's just, like, he's got those weird, like, chairs that are, like, hands, but they're, like, different colors. He's got all this, like, weird art all over his house. You're just like, yep.
Because he's a painter,
that's Jim
too.
Carrey.
He made a lot of money painting a little while ago. And he's super into whatever the like weird like light therapy is, where it's like, oh, the colors naturally in your body can get out of balance, so you can pay somebody to blast you with whatever colors you have a deficiency of,
UV radiation.
like blue or yellow. He was like, the other day I had a big yellow deficiency, so I had somebody fix that for me. You're like, okay.
Well, he's also a person who's like had severe problems with like depression and stuff, hasn't he?
Exactly. And that's the thing that's so weird. It's like all people are people. No matter how crazy somebody is, they're still a person, you know?
Yeah.
It's so crazy. It's wild.
Just like layered on top of like being an eccentric person, on top of having like money and fame from a very young age,
right.
on top of it's just a lot. It's a lot to deal with, but I think it manifests in an excellent performance of the Grinch.
Yeah, and that's what's weird is that it seems like Jim Carrey hated every second of being on this movie, from everything that I've read. But yet, he's pretty good.
It doesn't come out.
It doesn't. Yeah, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I think like once he got going, he was having fun with it because it's a fun character.
Do you?
Yeah, because no one's gonna say he's doing too much when he's the Grinch, you know? You're gonna be like, all right, I need you to tone that down a little bit. It's like, no, it's the fucking Grinch. You can do whatever you want, Jimbo.
Right. And like that's what's good about this movie is just like Jim Carrey riffing. Like that's funny always. There's no point where Jim Carrey starts like, you know, going off on some tangent, doing some kind of weird bit where I'm like, oh, come on, let's get back to the story, okay?
This is a 30-minute story, and I would like to get back to it, please.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't heard this one before, and I don't want to miss the details.
So here's a piece
I could watch... I could watch the scene where he's just like coming back home. He's like bringing trash in, like swinging on a zip line and eating glass bottles. Like I could watch that scene over and over again.
Yeah, it's so good.
I wish that was the whole movie.
Just
that scene like 7 times.
Screaming at his echo.
Just speaking of like the production of this movie, before we move on to just like sort of talk about the work itself, there's one piece of IMDb trivia that I want to read for you guys. This one says, Tim Burton's adaptation would have been darker, and the Grinch would have been a more despicable character.
Oh, what's that mean? What's that mean?
Just to be clear, there is no evidence to see that Tim Burton was ever considered to direct this movie.
I fucking hate it. Okay. I was a Tim Burton, like, fangirl for a really long time, and it bothered me back then, and it bothers me now, where somebody will take any fucking story or movie and be like, here's what it would look like if Tim Burton made it, and then if they just, like, take the Corpse Bride art style and, like, draw that person in it. And I'm like, that's not fucking what the movie would be like, you assholes. That's not even his art style, really. Like, you haven't even looked at his art, because that's not what he draws like. They're like, if he did the Little Mermaid, she would be like a skeleton fish. It's like, what the fuck she wouldn't? Why would she? God, it's just... I hate it so much.
I want to know what a Tim Burton Grinch would be like. Like, would he be a cannibal? Or is that what he's doing? Grinch left?
No, he wouldn't. He would just be the Grinch. Tim Burton would just do the Grinch. Why would he be a cannibal? Why would Tim Burton change the story like that? Tim Burton has never changed the story like that. And fucking talking. If Tim Burton made How the Grinch Stole Christmas, he fucking made the Night Before Christmas. He literally fucking did it.
You're saying that Tim Burton doesn't change the plots of things? Have you seen Alice in Wonderland? Have you put your eyes on that film? Because that is not
a zombie in that. The Red Queen isn't a fucking skeleton lady. Like, of course he changes the plots of things, but it's not like the way that Tumblr does it. Like, are you talking like fucking... Okay, do it. But I'm saying
10 more years.
If Tim Burton made How the Grinch Stole Christmas, it would just be How the Grinch Stole Christmas, but maybe like aesthetically, maybe a little bit different, and maybe like different story beats. Like it wouldn't.
Keisha,
Krampus
steals Christmas. There is a 100% chance that Tim Burton directs a fucking shitty ass How the Grinch Stole Christmas movie in the next 10 years.
Woohoo! I can't wait.
He already did Nightmare Before Christmas. The whole point of it was it to be the antithesis of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Why would he then turn around and just do How the Grinch Stole Christmas?
Adeline, I don't think you understand that Tim Burton is so shitty
It's an
now.
asshole.
Tim Burton.
No, he's been so shitty for so long.
Yeah.
I watched the fucking documentary series on Netflix, the How Christmas Movies Were Made one, and
Right.
just talking about what a shit bag that Tim Burton was during The Nightmare Before Christmas, and how he screwed over every woman he came into contact with during the production,
See,
and
I
how
don't
he would throw
necessarily.
fits about the production. It's bad.
See, I don't mean as a person, be that as it may. I just mean as an artist, as a filmmaker.
It's fair. It's
When
really
was the
fair.
last time Tim Burton did something and you're like, ooh? Like,
What about
hell
when he
yeah.
gave that guy a robot arm in Dumbo?
Yeah, that's probably, and then did nothing with the robot arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
every time you hear an announcement about a new Tim Burton movie, you're like, oh, God fucking damn it.
Again.
Like,
Yeah, because like what comes to mind is that stupid fan art that like fluctuates around. Not to shit all over the artist who did it, but it's like if Tim Burton did the Disney princesses and Belle
Right.
is like covered in blood, and I'm like, fucking, that's not what it would be. Like it annoys me so much.
it would just be
I think
boring,
it is.
probably.
It's the Alice in Wonderland cutoff. Sweeney Todd. Some people like Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
Some people love Sweeney Todd. I think Sweeney Todd was probably the last cool thing that he did. When did Sweeney Todd come out?
Yeah,
it
we looked
goes
at that. That
Sweeney
was
Todd
like
2007.
Sweeney Todd was like
2010
his last
Alice in
true
Wonderland.
banger.
Yeah.
Then Dark Shadows. Frankenweenie. I like Frankenweenie.
I love Frank and
fun.
Weenie. Yeah,
I
Frank and
think
Weenie can
Frankenweenie
stay.
is fucking boring.
Okay, the
Snooze
original
fest.
Okay,
short
well-
film is fucking boring as hell, but the stop motion movie is actually pretty good.
I think it's sweet and lovely, and I like a slower Halloween movie. I don't think everything needs to happen in Halloween. Listen, Jackson, you have some opinions that I disagree with too. I'll sleep through them.
I don't make funny snoring sounds now, do I?
So, you know, it's a bad movie. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I saw that movie
Dr.
in theaters, and it
McGonagall's
was
House for
terrible.
Weird Kids.
I haven't seen it. I 100% believe you.
X-Men, but fantasy, I guess. Time travel.
We gotta start like a support group, and we can get like Tim Burton and Robert Zemeckis and Ang Lee, like, and like maybe like M. Night Shyamalan can teach a masterclass on how to stop sucking ass at making movies.
Like, you know how to do it good. You did it good. Why are you doing it bad?
Has there ever been besides M. Night Shyamalan, has there ever been a director who's had like a successful comeback from a streak of horrible movies?
Don't call it a comeback.
Because
I think that's
I don't
it.
know.
I find M. Night Shyamalan to be so inspiring, like genuinely.
Yeah.
Like, because
Just
he
rein
made
it in a little bit, buddy.
he made Last Airbender, The Happening, and After Earth back to back, and that was like, you're done in this town, buddy. Like,
you gotta move.
yeah, like you need to go live somewhere else. Like this is not happening for you. But he was at that point. He's a very rich man. He was a successful director for many years.
Mm-hmm. A
He was
young
like,
man.
You know what? I'm gonna stop asking people for money. That's my move. When I make movies from now on, I'm paying for them. And that was like the kick in the pants that he needed to like really care about it and like make good movies
Like, make
again.
a movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, it's really easy to make a shitty movie when someone's like, here's $1 billion. I don't care.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I think it's also like if he was so much in that like rut of M. Night Shyamalan, the master twist artist. There's gonna be a huge twist in this movie. Get ready for the
Right.
twist. And then that gimmick made sense for The Sixth Sense. That's a fun sentence. But like, not every movie needs, which is also something that a lot of movies are falling into now.
Not
that
every
movie
movie
has to have
can
a
be
giant plot
Frozen.
twist.
Did M. Night
Yeah.
Shyamalan direct Frozen?
There's a non-zero chance Shyamalan directs a live-action Frozen remake, I feel like.
Oh my fucking god.
In the next 10 years, countdown to
Yeah.
Oh my
it.
god, I just realized we're probably gonna live through a live action Frozen, aren't we?
I don't know. It's hard to
Absolutely.
say. Are they
I really
making a
fucking hope
Frozen
not.
3 is the question.
I don't know. See, here's the thing. I wouldn't be mad about it because Frozen 2 might be one of my favorite movies. So if they made Frozen 2, I would. If they made Frozen 3, I would probably be like, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I
What are
accept
you
that
doing
as
over
your
there?
I accept that as your true opinion and your true expression of your feelings. I am rolling my eyes at you though.
What, you don't like fucking Frozen 2? Jackson, Frozen 2 is so freaking pretty.
Frozen
It's a
2 is
gorgeous
perfectly
film.
fine.
It's
I
like
really
I
like
saw
Frozen
that
2.
movie on Thanksgiving Day, and it was really depressing being there. So maybe that's why I don't like Frozen
Yeah,
2 as much.
and trauma. So, let's just make a list of all the movies that we have trauma associated with, and we'll just go through those films and see if we can get a new opinion on them.
Oh, maybe that's why I don't like Rogue One as much as everybody else.
Okay. Should we talk about the film that is in the title of this podcast?
The Grinch
Probably
Shadow Over
this
Christmas.
far into the day.
We'll just call it a day.
Yeah.
Come back some other time.
But you got your Christmas special right here, and we're not talking about the movie.
Yep.
So let's just go. So here's my big take. All right.
Yes.
This movie, basically, the events of the book, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, take place in the last 20 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everything before then is basically just giving him a meaningful motivation to steal Christmas this particular year, you know?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's he always hates Christmas. What's different about this year? And Ron Howard's well, I'll tell you what's different
what's
about
your
this
motivation?
Well, they force fed him a bunch of fudge, and now he's gonna kill all of them.
That's not why. He was into the fudge.
Yeah,
He
liked
did.
the fudge.
He got angry about the fudge at the end.
And
It's shaving he doesn't like.
I honestly, the structure of this movie, everybody always says oh, Grinch, it's a 20-minute story. Don't make it feature length. It can't do that. You're always adding all this bullshit. Honestly, I think the big picture structure of this movie is perfectly fine. You know, I like the sort of plot elements that Ron Howard adds to it. And I think that, and a lot of that time is also just spent, doing a sort of hangout movie. It was just let's watch the Grinch in his home. And he says some funny stuff, and that rules.
He goes to the toilet, and he makes himself a sandwich. Yeah. And you're like, haha, Jim, he's funny.
But I think that, I don't know, there's something about this movie, it's hard for me to say whether I actually like it or not, I've watched it perhaps a half dozen times over the course of my life. It's a Christmas classic. It comes on every once in a while. And when it comes to actively criticizing it, I feel like I don't have a lot.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, it's perfectly, no strong feelings from me. It's going to be a good podcast.
Anyway, see you guys next week. But what if we just open the podcast and we're like, I have no opinions about this movie?
I chose that we would talk about this movie, but it's fine.
Right.
I mean, really.
Sometimes your hot take is there is no hot take.
Right.
And that's perfectly okay.
Yeah. Because I feel like
okay is okay.
The main, I like the difference in the moral of the story versus the original. Because the original is Grinch fucking hates Christmas. The Who's get all their Who shit, and he fucking hates it, so he steals all the Who shit because he thinks that that'll stop Christmas. But it's in the original, the Who's understand the true meaning of Christmas, and they show the Grinch the true meaning of Christmas when he steals all their shit, and they're still happy afterwards. In this version, the Who's are a bunch of fucking capitalist assholes that just want to buy shit. It's a weird thing where they're learning the lesson at the same time as the Grinch is.
Right.
They're all about the consumerism, and then it takes the Grinch stealing their stuff to be reminded that the stuff isn't what Christmas is about. So everybody learns the same lesson, basically the exact same moments, which I think is an interesting way to do it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of cool. And
yeah, I like that it's I like framing it in a way where Christmas has become just who can buy the most stuff and who can have the most holiday cheer, and we're going to do all of these traditions, which is very much a part of our own culture.
Right.
And then being called out by a little 6-year-old girl and saying, hey, This doesn't really feel like Christmas. It just feels like we're buying a bunch of stuff and getting worked up about a bunch of stuff.
Right.
And then the Grinch is has an adverse reaction in a poor way because he's the Grinch. But I like it. I think it's awesome.
He doesn't handle his emotions in a productive way.
He's emotionally stunted, if you will. But
After
I think
years
I
of
like
eating
it. I think
glass.
that's like it's good for kids to see that, to have like a perspective on Christmas that kind of makes the villain affluenza, and that's dope.
Right.
I love
yeah.
that.
I do think it creates a weird mentality towards the Who's, where it's like the only person that you like in this movie, like in like a moral way, you like them. Like, of course, you like the Grinch because he's Jim Carrey and he's funny, but like the only one you have like a moral attachment to is Cindy Lou Who, and then everyone,
Right.
all the Who's around her are assholes, and the Grinch is also an asshole, even though he's the funny, likable asshole. You know, like
I don't think that they're like meant to be framed in like that they're assholes. I think it's like the Jeffrey Tambor Mayor is definitely like he's the real villain,
Right.
because he was the bully catalyst. He's trying to get in the Grinch's love life, blah blah blah. He's the one who doesn't want the Grinch to come at all.
He's moving in on the Grinch's girl.
Yeah.
I think like everyone else, they just react as a mob, like how people do, you know, like they will get worked up about the Grinch being there because they are rightfully afraid of him, because he has made it very well known that he doesn't like the Who's. He literally yells hate towards them every day or whatever. So I could see why they wouldn't like the Who's, but you know, they react in ways that are normal to me.
Yeah.
And they do in the end say, oh yeah, we shouldn't be like so worked up about presents because that's not what Christmas has ever been about.
Yeah.
Whoop whoop.
I don't mean assholes in the way that they react to the Grinch, because the Grinch is the magnum asshole in this movie. Like he's a bad guy. He's a jerk to everybody. We have set up that he is the biggest asshole in town. He is asshole of Asshole Mountain.
He's the anti-hero.
Yeah, but so like I don't mean that the Who's are assholes and that they're wrong and that they don't like the Grinch, because we get why they don't like the Grinch. He shoves a little girl into a present smasher machine. We get it. But like, I mean, they're assholes in the way that like in that kind of mob mentality of when the grown-ass mayor is shaming this little girl for wanting to show compassion to someone, and they're all like, yeah, there's a $2 sale at Kohl's. I got Kohl's cash. Like, everybody in this movie is a Karen, basically. Like, that's the kind of asshole that we're setting up, where it's like, they don't deserve the true Christmas because they're just so into the commercialism, you know?
But it also, it also sort of posits that Karens just need to take a step back. You know? Karens are people too.
Karens are redeemable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It just takes the Grinch stealing all their shit.
So, I've got a sort of proto game for you guys.
Okay.
I'm workshopping a new segment. And it's a game that you guys play. And I have one question for you this episode. Are you guys ready to hear it?
Yeah.
So I am going. This is from the Goofs section of IMDb. I'm going to tell you a scene, and I want you to guess what the goof that they are criticizing is. Does that make sense?
Okay. Sure. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So the scene is when childhood Grinch. Hold on one sec. So when childhood Grinch embarrasses himself and the kids all start laughing at him, there, according to IMDb, there is a major goof in that scene. What do you think it is?
Okay, so in this scene, the Grinch, he comes in, he's wearing a paper bag on his head. Mm-hmm. He brings Martha May Whovier very nicely crafted angel for the top of her tree.
An angle, yeah. See,
I
think I know what it is. I think it's when he takes the bag off his head and he like messed up shaving. I think the goof is gonna be that he still has hair on his face, despite the stubble, like, tissue scrape marks. I think that's what it's gonna be, is that, like, they make fun of him for shaving, but there's actually still hair on his face.
All right. Keisha, do you have a
Final
guess?
answer.
My guess is the book that the Grinch uses to cover up his face has a misspelled word on it.
Okay, so I'm now going to read you this goof from Imdb Trivia.
Okay.
Noticeably, during the Grinch's flashback, when Mayhew and the rest of the Grinch's classmates, except Martha, burst out laughing at the Grinch's predicament, even Miss Roo-Hoo, the teacher, is giggling along. In real life, if students are acting so mean-spirited to a certain student, the teacher would actually scold them not to do so.
Not if they're a green furry monster who has a bag on their head.
None of that child deserves to be bullied, am I right?
Why do you have a bag on your head? That's what she does.
All right.
Like, it's just...
Didn't go over that well. It's fine. I'll keep workshopping it.
Just sit, man. Just try one more time. It's good. It's fine. But it's like... Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show again that, like, everybody... There's no likable Who's in this movie except for Cindy Lou Who. Everybody's just kind of either mean or, like, annoying. Like,
Right.
his gay moms are just kind of, like, annoying and kind of weird. And, like, the teacher is a bitch and kind of annoying. And, like, her parents are kind of bitches and kind of annoying, you know?
Her dad's
like,
awesome. I love her dad. Her dad is like...
The dad is nice. The mom gets on my nerves sometimes. Her brothers make me want to punch a hole in the wall. I hate her brothers so much. And they're weird
I love
girlfriends.
Martha Mayhew is nice deep down. She's just a damn coward.
Yeah.
She doesn't have the courage to speak up for what's right.
Yeah, well, because she's too comfortable in capitalism, because
Yeah.
she's the rich one who gets everything, so she doesn't want to give up all the nice things that she does have in order to speak up for what's right.
I love the scene where, like, what's the dad and Cindy Lou Who roll up, and they're like, "Oh, your mom must be gone. All the lights are out," and she's just hanging literally every light she has because she's competing with Martha May Whovier.
Right.
And then Martha May Whovier comes out, and she's like, "Oh, hi, we're friends, neighbor." And then she holds up like a chandelier or something, and she's like, "Isn't this little antique so darling? It's 100 years old and it looks so good." Like, it's just so stupid, but I think it's so funny. And then she has that, like, gun that shoots lights.
Yeah.
She has a gun and she shoots them.
And they shoot each other, they die.
Yeah, that's the Tim Burton version.
Yeah. They've all got the squinty eyes and, like, the eye bags, and are all, like, skinny, and then they shoot each other.
If Tim Burton made this movie, the Grinch would have a AK-47.
If Tim Burton directed this movie, then the Grinch would kill he would steal their lives instead of stealing their present.
If Tim Burton directed this movie, we would find out that the snowflake was Earth all along, and it was our fault that the Who's took over. I'm so mad about it.
You made it!
You blew it all up!
That's what he was doing. He
could. Imagine in your head, man on a horse on a beach, galloping away. He sees the Statue of Liberty sticking out of the sand, except the Statue of Liberty is the Grinch halfway into the sand.
Oh,
does
Mark
Wahlberg say "you blew it all up, you maniacs" in the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes movie?
I really hope so.
He better, right?
He better do that.
He does. No, because that was like a huge switch. A switcheroo.
Oh.
Because instead of the Statue of Liberty, it's the Lincoln Memorial, but it's an ape.
Hold on.
Because the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes does a lot of, like, really intense sci-fi legwork where it's, like, actually doing alternate universe time travel bullshit, like the whole movie.
Okay,
right?
but the Ape Lincoln Memorial raises so many...
Ape Lincoln.
Ape Lincoln raises so many fucking
Lincoln.
Questions of ape slavery? Question mark?
I guess that is a good question. I don't know.
Well,
yeah, but that's the only question.
Well,
Oh
if you
God. Anyway.
then in place put the who's really the slave
That's
to
true.
the Grinch,
Yeah.
slave to Christmas.
And taxis don't stop for him, so fill in the
Yeah,
gaps.
it's because
It's
he's
true,
green.
but he also burps people to death. So
Yeah. So I mean,
I guess if I knew somebody who burped so bad that a friend of mine died, I probably wouldn't stop my cab for him.
yes, I probably wouldn't want to be in enclosed
Sorry
space
if
with
that's
her.
not PC for me to say, but it's just the truth.
sorry, snowflakes in the chat. We're just spitting truths here about the Grinch today.
What do you think the Grinch's podcast would be like?
I think it would just be. I think that's just what Joe Rogan's podcast is.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, right? I think that
Yeah.
that is
Maybe he
what-
like farts a few more times and he like burps. That's it. Yeah, there's a very fine line difference between the Grinch and Beetlejuice's characters, huh?
Yeah.
Because we're like one step away from making the woke Grinch. We're like about to go over that hill, and
Right.
I just want us all to understand that.
But yeah, like on Grinch's podcast, he's always be asking somebody to like pull up weird conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Not like QAnon stuff, but more just like, did you know that electric cars, they told people not to make that because it would make them money? And you're like, maybe that's true, but like, I don't know. And they just talk about that for like hours.
Yeah.
This is your problem.
But it would
with
be
the
about
Joe
like
Rogan
Christmas
podcast.
cookies.
What'd you say, Adeline?
I was just, are you making a goof about that's what Joe Rogan's podcast is like, or are you making a new joke?
It's both. That's what Joe Rogan's podcast is like, and that's what the Grinch's podcast would be like also.
Okay, gotcha.
He's yes-anding you, Adeline.
Gotcha, I
There's a
just don't
moment-
know fucking anything about that podcast.
Do we just want to say some bits from the Grinch that we think are funny?
My favorite bit from the Grinch is when he goes and he pulls the cloth off of the table and all the stuff is still on it, and he walks back and throws them all into the floor.
That is so funny.
It's
That
the
is
best
like,
goof.
That is a 10-point joke. That is like a perfect joke. I still think my favorite line reading in this movie is when Cindy Lou Who, like it's like later in the movie, they're like running around in a crowd. And the dad is like, everything going okay, Cindy Lou Who? And she's like, Dad, I've been thinking about the Whobilation, and I think I might do something drastic. And he's like, that's nice, honey.
I heard that for the first time today, like with my adult ears.
Yeah. It's so funny.
Just so good. And then her mom runs up and she literally stole a traffic light. She's like, what? For my display.
It's good. It's good.
And
It's
they're
a good
just
movie.
crashing
It's funny.
cars.
And
It's
then
fun.
when-
There's so many good bits.
When Jim Carrey dresses up as Ron Howard. It's
Pretty good.
Oh,
funny,
yeah.
too.
Pretty good stuff.
What's your motivation? My favorite is always, oh, well, I have a lot. I feel a lot of things about this movie, but I really love when he's yelling out into the echoing
Oh, right.
chamber.
And the echo's coming back.
I'm an idiot. You're an idiot. That's
Great.
funny.
10.
That's
a pretty
funny.
good
That's
goof. It's
that's
10
that
goof.
8-year-old humor that's stuck with me.
I gotta say, I
Like-
do think the little girl who plays Cindy Lou Who, she grew up and had a goth face or something. I can't remember, but she does a pretty good job in this movie of just like being cute and having pathos and like talking to people. Like I think she does a pretty good job in this movie, and it's not the hardest role for a child actor. I think it's a pretty easy role for her, and she does a good job. Fucking singing "Where Are You Christmas" just is the most annoying thing on the
It's
planet.
bad. It's real bad.
It's so bad.
I think it's
the
less
worst thing in the
annoying than
world.
the Faith Hill version, though, that
It's-
plays immediately
but,
after
like,
the movie's over.
They're both real bad though. They're
They're
not
both
good.
bad.
And it's like, what the thing about a child singing "Where Are You Christmas" is that she's like 7. There's not like this is just Christmas for her. There isn't a Christmas that she used to know, because
Right,
you
that's
would have been
fair.
like
Yeah.
4 and you don't have memories from then
No,
other
it's
than like getting a
5-year-old
truck.
Christmas.
Man,
Like,
consumerism has really taken over my Christmas experience in the last 2 years.
yeah, like really, like she's like, I remember when I was little and Christmas was real. It's like, do you mean last year? Like, what are you talking about?
So
Yeah, that's fair.
it feels like we are running out of steam a little bit, which is fine. Because
We've passed an hour. We're good.
have we on
We're
recording?
at 73 on recording.
Well, just to say that all I've got an ace in the hole. I've got an atomic bomb, and
Okay.
we're just gonna get angry at each other. But I think people are waiting for it. In our last Grinch episode about the Illumination Grinch movie, in which Adeline and I just got angry and screamed at each other for an hour. I famously said that I thought it was fucking, and I still stand by this, that it was fucking stupid that they, like, gave the Grinch a sad backstory in the Illumination Grinch movie, to which you countered, but they do that in the Ron Howard Grinch movie, too. And my stance then still holds, which is that this movie is basically a shitpost. It is all just a long extended bit. It's not meant to make you, it's not meant to, like, because in Illumination's The Grinch, in a tense emotional moment, they suddenly zoom in through Benedict Cumberbatch Grinch's eyeballs as if to illustrate this is taking place in his memory. And you see the fucking snowy orphanage doors slamming shut because he's getting kicked out of the orphanage or whatever. And then you pull back out and he starts to cry or some shit. And it's like,
First of all,
that's nonsense. Okay,
the context in the Illumination film is that he's gotten, like, thrown into the tree, he's fallen out of the tree, and he's in that huge crowd at the Christmas tree of people being super loud and celebrating. And honestly, that scene reads like he's having a panic attack. And then he has that flashback to Christmas where we learn that he grew up in the orphanage and he didn't celebrate Christmas and everybody else celebrated Christmas. And that's why he hates Christmas, because, like, he never got the affection that everybody else got. And I still think that you don't like that it's an emotional beat, but I think as an emotional beat, it is fine. My argument, and this is the argument that I stand by, is that scene of the flashback is very, very short. It's a very small scene. It's a very quick scene. We do it, and then we move on. This movie spends a full 20 minutes going over the Grinch's backstory, and I would argue that you are supposed to feel some emotions. They do the same baby Grinch climbing up the snowy mountain shot. They do the same Martha May Who picking up the broken angel and looking distraught. I argue that it is also an emotional beat.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think there is a very big difference between the Grinch has dead parents and grew up in a horrible orphanage where he didn't get to have Christmas presents ever. And the Grinch, baby Grinch, was so ugly that he tried to shave his own face and cut himself up all bad, and all the little kids laughed at him. And he came to school with a bag on his head and made an angel out of broken glass for a cute girl.
Hold on, Jackson. You are intentionally ignoring the emotions of that scene of a child being ostracized and bullied so badly that they fully run away.
My point is, one of them is silly and goofy and funny, and any emotions within that are something that is interesting and in some way creative. And I think that the Grinch having dead parents and growing up in an orphanage is the laziest, simplest, most rote, disappointing backstory you could possibly ever give the Grinch, if you give him one at all, which I still don't think you even should be doing in that movie.
But you should. Okay. I'm saying, no, hold on. Saying that, but like. It makes sense in this we're trying to kind of make it a modern story. Like, we're making, like, Cindy Lou Who's mother, a single mother. Like, we're trying to modernize it and making it relatable to the kids today.
Right.
It's just, I think it's a fair thing to be like, okay, so the reason that we're making that the Grinch hates Christmas so much is because everybody else celebrated it and he never got to celebrate it. But we're like, okay, well, why didn't the Grinch celebrate Christmas with everybody else? Like, why would that happen? And they're like, well, maybe he didn't have parents. Maybe he grew up in, like, an orphanage. And we're like, okay, great. That's why he didn't get to celebrate Christmas. And we tell you that, and then on, and then we get to his other motivations for why he specifically steals it this year. And, like, they do the exact same things. We give you a sad bit of his backstory, and then we give you more reason for why he's actually doing it this year.
May I posit that neither of you are right, and here's why.
Whoa.
I'm prepared. Okay, here's why. Because textually, we can see in the book and every version of the Grinch therein that no one quite knows the reason why the Grinch hates the whole Christmas season. It
It's
could
not
be perhaps
important.
that his shoes are too tight. It's he's always hated Christmas, just internally. He's just, even if he didn't hate it, he didn't have a liking towards it. You can see that when he's a kid, he's not into Christmas. The only thing that makes him want to be interested in Christmas is Martha May Whovier, because she's like, ooh, if you give me a present, I'll kiss you, or whatever that the whole plot point is. The only reason that he doesn't love Christmas is because his heart is too small. It's three
Right.
sizes too small.
Mhm.
So all of the conjecture that the movie gives, and this movie specifically, isn't why the Grinch hates Christmas. It's actually how the Grinch got up to Mount Crumpet and is alone now. That's the only thing. He already hated Christmas, but now he just has a vendetta towards it.
Right. I agree.
I would argue that having the original book saying that, like, the way that they say it is they're like, the Grinch always hate Christmas, and are like, don't ask why, because we don't know. Maybe it's just all these things. Maybe he's just a grumpy guy.
Right.
I think that inherently makes you want and wonder an actual reason why, and I don't think it's ridiculous that either movie tries to give a real answer. Because saying that the book doesn't give you an answer and doesn't want to give you an answer, I think it's fine. But I think it inherently makes you wonder and want a real reason. So I don't think it's bad for the movies to try to give you a real answer.
I think it is. It's not important.
I think
well, fuck you too, Jackson.
I think in a feature-length film it is important. But I also think that the whole point is that the Grinch hates Christmas, and we already know the end point. Well, so whatever plot you're gonna find is always gonna be he hates Christmas because it made him sad.
Yeah. Well, if you're making down to make a full-fledged Grinch movie, you're like, all right, we got 30 minutes of a story and we're going to expand it. I think the first thing that you would choose to expand when making the full movie would be, why does the Grinch hate Christmas? Because that would be like the first question. It's like the first line of the book, and it's the first thing you're going to do in the movie. So I think they would like try to come up with an actual answer. That doesn't seem that ridiculous to me.
But the answer that the animated Illumination Grinch came up with was literally first thing
the reason why.
It's because his parents are dead. It's because of dead parents. His parents are dead. That's why he hates Christmas.
He doesn't hate Christmas because his parents are dead. He hates Christmas because everybody else was celebrating Christmas without him and acted like he wasn't a part of Christmas.
Why was that?
Because he was in the fucking orphanage, Jackson.
Oh, interesting. Why was he in the orphanage?
I'm gonna fucking drive to Salt Lake City and strangle you. That's what I'm gonna do.
Just like Tim Burton's Grinch would do.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot you just like Tim Burton's Grinch.
I'm just saying that Illumination's Grinch sucks. It kisses the dog's butthole. It's how bad it is.
Hot take.
It's very bad film. Keisha, have you seen it?
No, because everyone I know tells me it's bad.
Yeah, it's so bad.
I can't fucking believe that I have to defend this movie, because I don't think that the Illumination Grinch is the best movie in the world, but everybody says that it sucks shit, and I don't think it sucks shit. I think it's pretty okay. And like, here's the thing.
But what's the point of making a pretty okay movie that already has 2 other versions?
Yeah.
Here's the
thing. What are you adding to the discussion? What are you giving the kids that they don't already have?
You're giving them a modern interpretation that they can relate to.
And what's the point of
casting Benedict Cumberbatch?
What's the point of casting Benedict Cumberbatch as the Grinch if he's gonna be like?
That's fucking hilarious. Are you kidding me? That's so good.
I'm the Grinch.
I hate
hilarious. You can't tell me that's not hilarious.
Benedict Cumberbatch's American accent is the worst thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. I hate it so much.
Okay, but let me do my whole spiel. So the thing with the Illumination's Grinch is that people hate it because they hate Illumination, because they see the whole company as like a cheap cash grab. And in some ways, I would argue that there are aspects to that. Like the Minions movies, like I would argue those are a cash grab. The Minions were so, like, people loved it. But like Illumination, like Despicable Me is a great film. I love Despicable Me. Like Cats and Dogs is at least an original idea and a fun movie.
It's
But
called
I
Secret
see
Life of
all these.
Pets.
I see all whatever.
What
Whatever
about Cats
the
and
fuck that
Dogs?
movie's called.
Yeah, there's already a movie called Cats and Dogs that did the same thing.
But hold on, but people say that Illumination sucks shit because of their art style, and I don't think that's a fair thing to say. I saw somebody the other day trying to say that Illumination sucks shit, and they had, like, all of the protagonists of their movies lined up. And first of all, none of them look the same. They've got, like, the same, like, textures because of, like, the softwares that they use, but, like, for all of their characters look different. And they were like, these movies are bad because all their characters look the same and their art style sucks, which I don't think is a fair thing to even say. If you're gonna say that their art style is not as pretty or you don't like it as much as other studios' art styles, that's totally fair. But to say that they don't have an art style is just wrong and mean.
But
And
the thing
it's just,
is that those movies are
I
bad
don't
for
think it's
other
about the art
reasons.
style.
but that was the
Yeah,
reason that
it's
this
the
person was posing, and I didn't agree with that. Because the animation of the Grinch movie, I think, is really, really pretty. I love the colors of it. There's so much happening. All the Who's are doing 10 billion Christmas things in every single shot when you get into Whoville. Like, that part of the movie, I think, is really good. I think creating Whoville into kind of like a more modern setting with like people doing Christmas shopping and like doing these crazy weird like Seussical kind of like contraptions for Christmas, like all the storefronts like open up kids toys and stuff like that. Like I think it's super cool and imaginative and fun, and it's a pretty movie to look at. I think the colors of the movie are really great. And I don't think it's a perfect movie. I think it has a lot of problems. I think it can be boring at sometimes, but it's not a huge sack of shit like everybody keeps trying to say that it is.
Okay, I agree. I think the Illumination animation is good. I think that they still struggle. I don't like when I close my eyes and picture Illumination animation, it's just too bright. I think that they really struggle with lighting, not in that it's not light enough, but it's too light most of the time. But it's also a children's like animation studio, so I'm not going to be mad about that. But yeah, it's not the animation, it's the writing and the marketing and the pacing and the plot
Like,
that and
Keisha,
the
you just
characters
said
that
you
are
haven't
pandering.
seen it. You don't know if
I'm
those things
talking
are
about
bad.
Illumination in general, not just the Grinch. I'm sure the Grinch is fine,
No, it's not.
but is it worth it? Is it worth
And
it?
fucking Jackson, when we started off that podcast, you were like, this movie's pretty okay. And then as soon as I said that I like something about it, you were like, actually, it sucks shit.
That's not true.
That is true.
That's not true. If
Watch
you'll
the
check the
podcast.
record.
This is
Jackson
not
has
yet
been bullying me about the Illumination Grinch movie for a full year. A full year.
Because that movie blows.
It doesn't. It's pretty okay. There are parts of it that I enjoy. Mom said that parts of it were funny when we watched it the other day, so take
You
that,
watch it
Jackson.
Yeah, but
again?
Because
Your
it was
mom
on TV and Mom wanted to watch it.
likes Lady Hawk, and that's just a bad movie in general. So
Keisha, if you tell my mother that you don't like Lady Hawk, I think she might actually cry.
oh, I never said that. I love Lady Hawk. It's the best movie ever. We should do Lady Hawk for the 100th episode.
And just bring our mom on.
Yes. Or for
that's a
Mother's
good
Day.
pitch. We gotta do a Lady Hawk podcast with our mom. We gotta...
We could do Ferris Bueller's Day Off with Dad.
Yeah, maybe. I'm trying to think what we would want to bring Dad in on.
Top Gear.
He likes World's Fastest Indian. That's a good movie. Yeah, anyway. Okay, well, anyway.
Ian, don't ever say anything about Lady Hawk being alright. It's the best movie ever made.
So, any final thoughts about How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Ron
You're
Howard?
so mean to me.
Should we talk... Should we acknowledge Hillbilly Elegy at all?
What about it?
Just that it is the worst, and so it's the Ron Howard movie, and
Oh, is it?
yeah, it's so bad. It's just like based on a fucking memoir by J.D. Vance, who's just like, oh, my family, they sucked and were poor, and I got out and became rich, and the only reason that they're still poor is because they were dumb. And
What's the Panic at the Disco song? I think it's the High Hopes for a Living song.
Right.
Or it's like, I fucking did it. I did it, me. Look at me. I'm famous now. I fucking
did it all by
it.
myself.
All
Right.
by myself.
That's
I'm famous now. Look at me with my money. Thanks, Mom. I did all by myself.
what that whole album is, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And like, it's just, I don't know. I'm gonna come out with a video sometime in the next week where I talk about it at length in my full stream ahead video. But like, it's just so bad, and it's so deeply misguided and problematic, to use an annoyingly overused word. But like, I don't know. It just like colors the way I look at Ron Howard differently afterwards. You know?
Oh.
And
Yeah, it's like, oh, Ron Howard hates poor people.
It's not even that. I mean, I don't know. It's the kind of movie, because that book sold a bazillion copies, and it's worth noting that the guy who wrote that book is not a sociologist, is not a scholar by any means. He's like a fucking stock trader, and like, he basically, it's just this one guy's isolated experience and opinion that became a best-selling book, when he's not qualified to be speaking on poverty. Besides that he was once impoverished, you know? He doesn't know about the broader structures in play. He doesn't know about the real
like sociology.
Yeah, he's not educationally qualified to write this story, but he did. And, you know, it came out right after Trump got elected, when everybody was like, oh, we gotta understand middle America better, because clearly there's something we're not getting about this whole thing. And, like, I don't know. I'm sure this was a movie that they were just putting together. It's like, hey, do you want to do this? You'll probably win an Oscar for it. And I'm sure Ron Howard was just the guy to be like, yeah, sure. And somebody else wrote it, and he just directed it. And Amy Adams plays his poor, like, drug-addicted mom, like this fucking just totally manic psycho who has no self-awareness and no understanding of the world around her, who just, like, can't help but just be abusive to everybody around her at all times for no reason. And it's the worst. You guys haven't seen it, it doesn't matter. It just fucking blows. And, like, it's, I don't know. It's just the worst. We don't need to continue talking about it. I'm gonna go ahead and start looking up a review.
I love The Grinch. It's in my top 5 Christmas movies. I watch it every year. It's the best, even if it's not that good.
Number 1 Christmas movie is the Muppets Christmas Carol. It's the best Christmas Carol movie, and I will fight anyone on site.
I agree. It is the best Christmas Carol.
God, if you haven't seen Muppets Christmas Carol, fucking watch it. It's so good. It's literally Michael Caine gives the best performance as Scrooge. It's so good. The like ghosts of like Christmas past, present, and future are like the most dope puppets. They're so cool. It's so good. Fucking Gonzo and Rizzo as the narrators. It's so fucking good. Watch the Muppets Christmas Carol.
You guys vamp
watch the Muppets Christmas Carol, and while you're at it, I also invite you to like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Please, if you're interested, follow us on Twitter at No Nerds Pod, or follow Adeline at Hollaback Horse, or Jackson at Jepper Pack, like Pepper Jack but switched. And you can follow
just a little quirky, a little twisted.
You can follow me at The Real Slim Shady. That's not true. I don't have a Twitter. If you follow that person, it's not me. And also,
does not share their views.
Tell us what you think your favorite Grinch is. What's the best Grinch? Is Illumination overrated or underrated? Please let us know by writing a review. Thank you very much.
Okay, I found my thing. And by the way, just people hanging out in the chat, we really appreciate it. Our channel has been sort of blowing up. I mean, relatively blowing up the last couple of weeks. And there were fucking like 4 or 5 like new people we don't like recognize in the chat today, which is so
good
cool.
to see you, Kevin the Little Monster.
Yeah, Kevin the Little Monster and Headquarter Productions and Michael Boydston, who said in the chat a little while ago. And I wasn't sure what that was about. I didn't draw attention to it. I don't know what that was about, but he was there. And I saw him leaving some comments on some other videos too.
I would just like to apologize to Headquarter Productions because I don't think we talked enough about the lesbian representation that was happening in this movie.
The two
Just
moms.
low key, no one ever talked about it with the two moms, and that's fun. That's great.
And
It's good.
Mitchell showed up and asked if we were talking new Grinch or old Grinch, and we told him. That was a good memory. And
Oh, man.
I love this flashback.
we just appreciate you guys, and we're really happy. And of course, Ian and Cade are great too. But you've always
We love
been here.
Ian and Cade.
You guys
Yeah.
are old
The
news
real
now,
ones.
though.
See you in the chat and I throw up because I'm like, of course.
Hit
I
me
don't throw
back
up.
when it's not Cade. That's what I say internally.
Yeah.
So anyway, do you guys want to hear a 1-star review of How the Grinch Stole Christmas?
I do.
1 star.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this review comes from letterboxd.com, and this person says, "Scary, scary, dumb movie misses the point of the book. Too long, stupid, kill me, half a star."
Stupid,
Scary, scary, dumb.
scary, stupid, scary, scary, bad.
Husbands, starfish.
Starfish.
The book was better.
Oh,
Free pizza!
no.
Free pizza!
I just want to know what are the scary parts of this movie? I guess that dragon head when Max is barking through it.
That's
That's
pretty
pretty
scary.
scary.
I think
But
Tim
you know
Burton.
what's-
I almost said Tim Burton. I think Jim Carrey is my sleep paralysis monster. Actually, I think Tim Burton is my sleep paralysis.
Oh, maybe we should
Monster.
circle back, because I feel like there's an important element of this movie that we haven't considered yet.
What is it?
I'll graph this onto the podcast later.
Okay.
Is the Grinch hot? Yes or no?
No.
No,
And no.
No?
no,
You don't think
Period.
there's anything
Like,
there at all?
no,
No.
no. No, he's like a man.
No,
it's like
Jackson.
the man-childest man-child that Jim Carrey has ever
He
played.
it's
Okay.
like it's not like Beetlejuice where he's got some like charisma behind him. It's not that. He's just it's literally everybody hates him. He's gross and stinky. He's weird, fat, and tubby, and he's a furry man, and he fucking hates his dog, and he's no Jackson.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know what Tony the Tiger was thinking when he even said yes to
Yeah,
dating
Tony
the
the
Grinch.
Tiger can do so much fucking better. Are you
That's
kidding
probably
me?
why they broke up.
I just think, like, out of 10, he's like a 5 or a 6. He's got a little bit of Beetlejuice charisma.
I don't know.
No, I
He's
don't.
got
no,
enough
no,
Beetlejuice charisma to move the needle.
No.
I think a
Personality
lot of
10,
people would
looks
disagree with
3.
you.
I think Tony the
I-
Tiger could do way better than the Grinch. I think that Tony the Tiger and the Wolf from the Cookie cereal, I think that's the power couple of 2020.
All right.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Like that Twink Bear solidarity, you know.
Okay.
What about the Sugar Pops bear though?
Kate, do not send me fan art. Don't do it. Kate, no.
Okay, we're done. My name's Jackson McMurray.
My name is Keisha Rhodes. I'm going second this time.
Adeline?
Is it a thing? Is this?
Adeline, are you there?
Oh, did I die?
What happened?
And
Adeline,
Adeline McMurray.
say your name.
Holy fuck.
Tony the Tiger Getter.
Hello?
What, Adeline? Say your name.
What the fuck? I thought you couldn't hear me. My name's Adeline. I hate the world.
Okay, and this is No Nerds Allowed. I got
Merry
so-
no
Christmas,
nerds
happy
allowed.
holidays.
I got
I
so
thought you
scared,
couldn't hear me.
Adeline.
That's why I was saying hello and what? Because I thought you couldn't hear
We
me.
couldn't hear you for a little bit, and we got so scared we didn't know what happened to you.
You guys are gaslighting me.
This is not. No. You stopped talking.
Yeah, you didn't say your name.
You got nervy.
Stop talking. I didn't.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
gonna stop my recording.
Okay, cool.
We're still streaming though.
Boop. I
You
guess
guys
it
feel-
doesn't.
This was a good stream. This was cool.
It's just a good stream. It was
It's
a good
cool seeing you
time.
guys in the chat. I don't mean to be too sappy about it, but it's cool.
You
This
can't
was
cry
cool,
type about
but-
it.
I need a pee so bad, so I think I'm gonna.
Okay, cool. So next week, we're not entirely sure when. Next week, we're doing our Return of the Jedi episode with Tosh Ritter of Cosmonaut and Tosh Draws. And we'll keep you updated as best we can about when that's going to happen, because it's probably... Because next Friday is Christmas, It'll probably be before Christmas at some point. We don't know. We're working on it. We thought we were going to do the Star Wars Christmas special, but we're not. We're just doing Return of the Jedi right before Christmas. It was our fault, bad planning. That's all. Okay, cool. Thank you. We'll see you guys later. Goodbye. You can go pee, Keisha.
Bye. Thanks.
I think it's the last day of Hanukkah today, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. Is it?
I think Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. I don't know when Kwanzaa is.
Okay, I'm going to end the stream now, though. Love you
Do
guys.
it. Bye.